Hello and welcome. So, this lecture of inflammation is on the important, in fact, very important topic of granulomatous inflammation and granuloma. So, what is granulomatous inflammation? It is a distinct pattern of chronic inflammation which is induced by the activated T cells and activated macrophages, and this inflammation is response to an agent that is resistant to eradication, which the body is not able to eradicate. So, as a result, granuloma is formed, which tries to contain that organism in it. So, what is granuloma? Granuloma is a focus of chronic inflammation consisting of a microscopic aggregation of macrophages that are activated and transformed into epithelioid cells. Epithelioid cells means they look like epithelial cells, so they are known as epithelioid cells, and surrounded by a collar of lymphocytes. So, granuloma is seen in the granulomatous inflammation, which is the pattern of chronic inflammation. So, in a granuloma, there are macrophages which are activated into epithelioid cells, and there is a collar of lymphocytes surrounding that. And in some cases, giant cells can also be seen, which are formed as a result of fusion of those macrophages. And in chronic cases, in advanced lesions, fibroblastic reaction can also be seen surrounding the granuloma. So, why does a granuloma form? So, granuloma is basically an attempt of these cells to contain that offending agent, because the body is, those macrophages, they are not able to remove that offending agent. So they try to form a granuloma to contain it so that it does not spread any further in the body. So there are two types of granulomas. One is foreign body granuloma, which is formed as a result of presence of a foreign body in the tissues like silica, suture, talc. So these foreign bodies, they are sometimes large enough, and the macrophage is not able to phagocytose it. So in that case, these activated macrophages known as epithelioid cells and giant cells, they are opposed to the foreign body. Say they just lie next to the foreign body, and the foreign body will be seen in the center of that granuloma. So there is no role of immunity in this mechanism of formation of foreign body granuloma. So basically there is a foreign body in the center, and the macrophages, they are just opposing it, and the giant cell is formed in which the foreign body will be present in the center. And the second type of granuloma is the immune granuloma, which is formed as a result of hypersensitivity reaction, that is type 4. So when the inciting agent or microorganism is difficult to eradicate, for example in tuberculosis, so the T cells cause strong macrophage activation, and the activated macrophages, they turn into epithelioid cells, and the T cells also get activated. So T cells, macrophages, they get collected to form a granuloma. So this is the second type of granuloma, that is immune granuloma. So there are only two types of granuloma. One is foreign body and other is immune granuloma. So most important example of granuloma and a disease which is very common in India, that is tuberculosis. The granuloma is known as tubercle in that case. So it is a very important example of immune granuloma, which is caused by the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So in a granuloma of tuberculosis, important point to remember is that there is a central area of caseation necrosis. So this necrosis is due to the free radical injury, which is caused by the inflammatory cells, and hypoxia. So caseation necrosis is the most important and characteristic feature to identify a tubercular granuloma. Grossly, this caseation necrosis has a granular and cheesy appearance, that's why it is called caseous. And on microscopic examination, this necrotic material, it will appear as amorphous, means it's having no structure, then eosinophilic, that is pink colored, granular, so it will appear granular, and with complete loss of cellular details. So this is in contrast to the coagulative necrosis, where the cellular outlines are preserved. We call it tombstone appearance in case of coagulative necrosis, but in caseation necrosis there is complete loss of cellular details, and all of that necrosis appears as amorphous, eosinophilic, and granular debris. So this description is very important, often asked in viva and in the theory exams. So this is a gross picture of caseous lymph nodes. This is the lymph node outer capsule, and we can see these cheesy white areas. So these are the areas of caseous necrosis. So on even gross examination, we can diagnose it provisionally as tuberculosis, and it will be confirmed by the histopathological examination. So in histopathology, what we will see caseating granulomas. So here you see that in the center there is a amorphous granular pink caseous necrosis, and surrounding that there are epithelioid macrophages and lymphocytes, and along with that giant cells are seen, and these type of giant cell are known as Langerhans giant cell, in which the nuclei they are arranged in the periphery in the form of horseshoe shape. So these are known as Langerhans giant cell. Again, this picture, it is from Robbins. It shows central area of caseation necrosis, and these epithelioid cells which are activated macrophages, these are giant cells. These dot like things, all these are lymphocytes. These darkly stained circular nucleus, these small nucleus, these are all of T lymphocytes. Again, this is lymphocytes, and the central caseation necrosis is the most important feature to diagnose caseating granuloma of tuberculosis. Now, how it is formed? So it is a cell mediated immunity type 4 reaction, in which when the antigen is presented by the macrophage, the T cells will get activated. It will release certain cytokines like TNF, which will cause recruitment of the monocytes. Then another cytokine, interferon gamma, will cause its activation to a activated macrophage. Now again, this activated macrophage will release certain cytokines to again activate T cells. So both of these T cells and macrophages, they get activated, and activated macrophage often transforms into epithelioid cells. So you see in this picture, these are macrophages, these yellow ones, and these pink ones, these are the epithelioid cells. So their nucleus is slipper shaped. So these cells are slipper shaped, and cytoplasmic is eosinophilic, and these are the giant cells which are formed by the fusion of these epithelioid cells. Their cytoplasm gets fused and the nucleus gets arranged in a horseshoe pattern. Additionally, there are lymphocytes. So these are the lymphocytes, and most peripheral, they can be fibroblastic reactions. So they can be proliferation of the fibroblast at the periphery when the lesion advances further. So this is how a granuloma is formed, and its structure is very, very important. It's almost always asked every year in viva as well as theory. So now we focus on the microscopic examination of granuloma. So granuloma in general, they show presence of epithelioid cells. So epithelioid cells, they have pale pink granular cytoplasm. The cell boundaries are indistinct, so we cannot make out the cell boundaries. The nucleus is oval or elongated, and its characteristic shape is slipper shaped. Now next, the lymphocytes. So lymphocytes are also seen in a granuloma. These are rounded cell, and they have scanty cytoplasm, and they have darkly stained chromatin, which is coarse and clumped. Next, giant cells. Giant cell, they are formed by the fusion of the epithelioid cells, and they are of the size of 40 to 50 microns. There are various examples of the giant cells, and various types of giant cells are seen. So in granulomatous inflammation, we can see Langerhans type of giant cell and foreign body type of giant cells. Older granulomas develop an enclosing rim of fibroblast and connective tissue. So fibroblast can also be seen in the advanced lesions. So this is a granuloma which shows Langerhans giant cell, nuclei arranged at the periphery. This is the fused cytoplasm, and all these are the epithelioid cells. So when we zoom it, we can see that the nucleus is bit elongated, and it is having a slipper shape. So slipper is, in Hindi we call it the chappal. The chappal, in the shape of the sole of these slippers, it is similar to the nucleus of the epithelioid cells. So that's why the shape of the nucleus is called slipper shape. So you can remember by this image. And these are the lymphocytes, these darkly stained rounded nuclei. So these are the lymphocytes. And most peripherally, these are the fibroblasts. So this is an elongated nucleus of the fibroblast. All this is fibrosis, which is seen in the periphery of this granuloma. So you have to remember the structure of the granuloma. Now next we come to the causes of granulomas. Again, this is very important. So causes can be various infections or some immune mediated inflammatory disorders. So there is a table which is in Robbins. So it outlines some important causes of granulomas and their distinguishing features. So first disease is the most important, tuberculosis. So cause is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and the granuloma is caseating granuloma. So it has a central area of caseation necrosis. So this is the most important distinguishing feature of TB granuloma, and the rest features are as I told earlier, activated macrophages having a slipper shaped nucleus, then rimming by the fibroblast in the periphery of the granuloma, then lymphocytes, histiocytes, Langerhans giant cells can be seen. Then most important is the amorphous granular eosinophilic central necrosis, and we can use a special stain, Zn stain, for the demonstration of acid fast bacilli, and this will confirm this diagnosis of tuberculosis. Next is leprosy. So in the spectrum of the leprosy lesions, we see granulomas in the tuberculoid and borderline tuberculoid leprosy, and leprosy is caused by Mycobacterium leprae. So again, we will demonstrate it by the Zn stain for AFB for the lepra bacillus. And the granulomas, they are characteristically non-caseating. They don't have any caseous necrosis. So these are the important distinguishing features for the lepra granuloma. Next, syphilis caused by Treponema pallidum. So the granuloma in this case is known as gamma, and the important feature is presence of plasma cells. So plasma cells is very much characteristic for syphilis, and the central cells, they show necrosis, but there is no loss of cellular outline as is seen in caseous necrosis. Next is cat scratch disease caused by gram-negative bacillus, and the important point that is often asked in MCQs or Viva is that it is a stellate granuloma. There is central area of granular debris which is star shaped, so that's why it is called stellate granuloma. And there can be neutrophils can also be seen, and giant cells are not common. Now sarcoidosis, it is again a disorder showing chronic inflammation, and it shows non-caseating granuloma, and it shows asteroid bodies, Schaumann bodies. These are also diagnostic features for sarcoidosis. And the granulomas of sarcoidosis, they are poor in lymphocytes, so they are also known as naked granulomas. Next important disease is Crohn's disease. It is an inflammatory bowel disease, and it is also as a result of immune reaction. So it again shows non-caseating granulomas, and it can also show the Langerhans giant cells. So these are the important causes of or differential diagnosis of granulomatous inflammation. There are certain other causes also, like granuloma inguinale, brucellosis, foreign body granulomas, then blastomycosis, cryptococcus, and parasites like schistosomiasis. So these are the other important causes of granulomatous inflammation. Now let's take a look at these pictures. So this is sarcoidosis. These are scattered lymphocytes in the center, and the epithelioid cells. Again, you can appreciate the oval elongated nucleus. The cytoplasmic the cell boundary is indistinct, and there is slipper shaped nucleus, and there is no caseation. Now this is stellate granuloma seen in cat scratch disease. So there is a central star shaped area of cellular debris. Now certain points which are important for the MCQ. So in sarcoidosis, we see naked granulomas with scanty lymphocytes. Stellate granulomas seen in cat scratch disease, and their neutrophils are seen in this disease, and the necrosis is star shaped. Then Doug's granuloma, it is caused by Plasmodium falciparum and seen in cerebral malaria. And caseating granuloma, most important, they are seen in tuberculosis. Now, to differentiate these granulomas, besides the morphological features, we also do the diagnostic investigation, because we need to know the cause of that granuloma to treat the patient. So we can do special stains like acid-fast stains for tubercle bacilli, for lepra bacilli. Then culture can be done for tuberculosis, for fungal diseases, and polymerase chain reactions can be done to identify those microorganisms like in tuberculosis, and serological studies can be done, for example, in syphilis. Now, this is just a point for Viva that sometimes students get confused between granuloma and granulation tissue. So both of these things are different. So granuloma, I taught you that it is seen in granulomatous inflammation, which is a part of chronic inflammation, while granulation tissue is formed during the healing process. So when there is wound healing, this reddish colored granulation tissue is formed, and the components of granulation tissue are lymphocytes, fibroblasts, and blood vessels proliferating. So this is the gross image of granulation tissue, which is also known as proud flesh, and it should be healthy for better healing. And microscopically, it will show lymphocytes, fibroblasts, and proliferation of blood vessels. So this is just a point which is asked in the Viva examination. So this was all about the granuloma and granulomatous inflammation. I'll be taking the giant cells in another lecture, which is also again very important for the exams in Viva. So thank you very much.